Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans of actual co-hosts of podcasts, we're back. Episode number 38 with your actual host, Sugar Snags, baby. We're back for another episode with the boys this fortnight. We are down one member again. It's a common trend. The boys dropping like flies quicker than I don't know what, but it sounded like a great thing when I thought of it. So I'm going to throw over to the producer himself, who might have something more witty than me. I would doubt it, but producer DL, how are we?
Snags, I could never match your wit, but I'm good, mate. Feels good to be back with the boys. And like you said, we are missing one, so we are kind of back with the boys. Stoney has let fame go to his head after one episode hosting without us. Now he's too good for the boys.
Yeah, needs a week off the podcast after all that pressure that we built up on him the other fortnight.
He needs a week off, that boy. No, Stoney's had a big week. He's sold his house and they've moved away. He's just getting settled in, and we thought we'd just give him that little time just to re-acclimatise to his new surroundings.
Look what happens, mate. You become an award-winning podcast co-host, and he's just bought a multi-million-dollar mansion on the east coast of Victoria, I heard. Is that correct? Can you confirm or
he's
deny?
Loving it. I think that's 100% correct. We probably won't see him back in the studio. He'll be in his multi-million-dollar studio soon. But anyway, best of luck to you, Stoney. We've got his picks and everything, so they won't go astray. They'll come through. It was a bit weird last week, the last episode, producing and editing the podcast from afar. Did it from a camper van, Snags.
Mate, that trip that you showed me was absolutely delicious. What I was actually rather furious about was how much the boys got into Snags last fortnight, because it seems like they got into him a fair bit. And if they don't know, mate, Snags is the resident 4-stripe white belt in this podcast, and I will not take it anymore.
Oh boy, Zachy jumped on the podcast all the way from Santa Barbara in the States.
Mate, I'm ready to throw down. White belt challenge is taken out. If I ever go to the States, boys, Snags is rolling.
Confident. He was confident. But anyway, before we get into the podcast, we better introduce the third member and previous host of the podcast, Statman. Statman, how you going?
I'm doing well, boys. I won't lie and say that I'm not glad to have the hosting duties off my shoulders. I can get laser focused in on my picks again, so I can finally beat Stoney.
Do you know my favourite part of last podcast?
What was that, man?
Was your intro when you tried to be 3 people at once.
What?
You sounded like a version of yourself / the producer / me.
Yeah, I was like, how does Snags do this? We get the benefit of seeing you do it like 6 or 7 times each time we record one. So I had a fair bit. Like, we've only been in 38 episodes, but I've heard you do it like 80 or 90 times. So
takes time to perfect this voice, baby.
It was good. It was good. I've obviously learnt from listening to you boys. So, but I think the audience will be glad to have you back.
Oh, mate, you passed with flying colours last week, Statman, so well done. Props from the boys.
Boys, we might take that moment to just jump into the podcast and start with Story Times with Snags.
Boys, welcome back. I know this segment was feasibly missed last fortnight, and listeners were writing in droves. It was like Prohibition in the 19-whatever it was in. But people wanted it back, and they wanted it back quickly, So what we're going to do this week, DL, we're going to give the listeners 4 letters to the alphabet, to the new book. Snags looking to take out the Melbourne Times bestsellers. I don't know if that's a thing. If it was, should be. So, boys, we're gonna roll through as per usual up to letter D. So I'll just quickly recap everyone. We had A for Anaconda Choke, B for Berimbolo, and C for our boy Charles Sunnan. So we're up to the letter D, and we'll throw it around the grounds again, see if the boys can guess what Snags is feeling. DL, hit me.
Well, I think this is an obvious one, so I'm going to try it. Dana White.
Well, obvious would not be Snags' forte, so that is incorrect. Thank you for your try. Statman.
I went pretty obvious too. Diaz brothers.
Oh, Diaz brothers. Very obvious.
What was
also, Snags doesn't go obvious, so incorrect again. You boys are 0 for 0. I've gone Danaher. That's am I right? John Danaher, the one and only. Why would you ignore 50% of the body? Yeah, it makes sense now, doesn't it, Statman?
Yep. Yep. I believe GSP's BJJ coach.
Oh, mate, everyone's BJJ coach. How successful this gentleman is. But yes, correct. Okay, well, boys, off that first one and the previous 3, you've probably stated now that you shouldn't go the obvious. You should go the out there, but not arena. That would probably one not to go again. So we're going to go to the letter E. We might throw a Statman first on this one.
I've gone Ezekiel choke.
Oh, very boring of you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your try, but one day you'll get one right. DL.
Elbows.
Sorry?
elbows.
Elbows.
Yeah. Throw an elbow.
Oh, mate, I know what an elbow is. I'm saying it because I'm disgusted in your obvious pick. Gone Eddie Bravo, boys. BJJ theme tonight. So
Is this the ABC of MMA or is this the ABC
jiu-jitsu.
of BJJ?
I'm sorry. Are you my ghostwriter or are you a participant in this segment?
Or you might need to be.
I'm a participant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. You need to sit down and be quiet, mate. Okay, we're going to roll into the letter F. Surely you boys will get this one. This one's fairly obvious in Snags' book. So, DL, we'll throw it to you.
Can I skip the first part of the move and call it a flu choke?
Flu choke. That's something I would do, but I thought you were actually going to get it right when you said that, to be honest. When you said, can I skip the first bit? But no, that's firmly incorrect. Oh, God, Statman, hit me. Give me something.
Fedor Emelianenko.
Oh, yes. Also, again, I don't know why I ask you anymore because you'll never get them right. But, boys, we've gone the same presence as DL in terms of skipping the first thing in this, but we're going fuss. That's right. No fuss, Keith Peterson, baby.
Oh,
he's going in the book at number F. Number F, letter F, sorry. Snags needs to get his 1, 2, 3s out after this as well. Rightio, boys. What did you not think no fuss Keith Peterson would be in this?
No.
I would think that maybe he's under N for no or P for Peterson or
There's a doozy coming for N, mate. You need to wait for that one. Rightio, last chance for the night, boys. If anyone gets this, you get a 6-pack on Snags, okay? Going for the letter G. DL, hit me with the right answer, please.
Goat.
Sorry?
Goat.
Like
Goat. The goat.
Like a farm animal.
Like the greatest of all time.
No. Yeah, press your own button because that's firmly incorrect again. Goat. Bloody not Old McDonald farm, mate. Statman, hit me with the right answer so I can send you a 6-pack of your 1-litre beers that you drink every weekend.
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh.
Whoa, that was super. Statman, I would just like to say, well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on being incorrect again because I was firmly wrong, my friend.
What was it?
It was another jiu-jitsu move. Go Plata, boys.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty obvious, actually.
So, boys, 0 from 0 for all you two, both of you two. I'm sure Stoney would have got them all wrong as well. And you boys basically picked like Snags picks every fight. Just got it incorrect. So, we're up to letter G. Moving on next week.
Sorry I didn't pick Fuss. Fuss Peterson.
No, I'm sorry you didn't pick Fuss because that was a very obvious one in our books considering how much we talk about no Fuss Keith Peterson. I'm actually disappointed in you boys. Not angry, just disappointed. And on that note, story time with Snags, baby. Welcome back this fortnight. See you again next one.
That was brilliant, Snags. Let's jump into Hot Take. As COVID cases are set to explode in the US after Thanksgiving, are we going to see more cards fall flat? And what can the UFC do to keep their aggressive push for events moving?
I think we'll continue to see the fallout effect of the COVID-19 pandemic in the US. I think we'll have some similar things to what we've had previously with some cards fall flat. And I hope that, I don't know what they do about it, to be honest, because nothing's really getting done over there to kind of protect it. So I guess they're going to roll with the punches, but Snags have got no answer to this one, boys.
I'm completely in agreement there. I reckon that this, at least in the US, it's going to continue to affect, especially a sport that pulls people from all around the world, and especially in the US from all corners of the US. I think we'll probably see Fight Island utilized moving forward, but I do definitely think that we're going to see fight after fight, main event after main event fall flat.
Let's jump to the listeners. 85% said yes, 15% said no. So there's a couple out there that think there's not going to be too much of an issue.
Yeah.
I actually forgot to mention that the aggressive push should be yes, Fight Island in Tasmania, boys, as I keep projecting to the listeners. Dana White, holler at you, boy.
Figueiredo is now set to headline back-to-back pay-per-view cards. Does this now secure the flyweight division for the foreseeable future in the UFC?
For the foreseeable, yes, but I think we need a lot more depth in that division, to be honest, to secure it. I don't know if they'll give it up and give it up quickly, but I'd like to see a depth of fighters and challengers, I guess, come through so we can see that division live on and live strong.
Do you think that this is probably a double-edged sword for the flyweight division? Figueiredo is a shot in the arm. He's a really, really exciting fighter. Twice back-to-back pay-per-view cards with a very, very thin division does run the risk of running through viable contenders very quickly. And then what's Figueiredo going to do? He's going to move up the division, and the flyweight division will be left rudderless once more.
Listeners thought the same. 75% say yes, foreseeable future. 25% said no. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fought a draw on the weekend. With the contest being more competitive and athletic than many assumed, would you like to see either of these two gentlemen compete again inside a ring?
Boys, I would say no from Snags. Good to see the boys back in there. Good to see them safe after the fight. It was a nice little show to put on. Would have been much better, obviously, if it wasn't COVID and we could have jam-packed the stadium for the boys. Is what it is. They done what they done and are happy to let the boys ride off in the sunset. And if Mike Tyson had to fight anyone, wouldn't be Sugar Snags because he'd still KO this bad boy in 10 seconds flat.
I think Mike Tyson, in particular, out of the two men, definitely surprised me with his athleticism. He's been retired for nearly 15 years now. In saying that, the fight definitely scratched whatever itch I had to see either of these two guys fight again. Hopefully, they made a bit of bank and they can move on.
Yeah, I think I saw a post, $10 million for Tyson, but $3 million for Jones.
Was it?
I mean, that's fair. Roy Jones Jr. has been fighting relatively recently. I think he was fighting every year up until about 2018. Mike Tyson, he retired in 2004 or 2005. So getting Tyson back in the ring,
in the cage.
I know.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Hey, was it true that there was no judges?
Not no judges. It wasn't officially licensed by the California State Athletic Commission. So it wasn't an official bout. It was an exhibition bout.
Copy.
So the judges were celebrity judges, and it's not going on either of their records.
Copy that.
Because they were too old.
Listeners were pretty strong on this. 85% said no.
Yeah.
Bit of a weird one, boys, and I'm not sure if you're both across this, but recently a place dear to our heart, our small bat hearts, is Russia. They host an MMA fight on the weekend with a 529-pound man, that's 240 kilos, versus a 139-pound, 63-kilo bantamweight female, who, by the way, won with a first-round TKO. Maybe not at this level, but would you like to see more open-level fights in top-level promotions?
I saw the highlights for this bad boy. I was rather impressed, to be honest, but that man's cardio is not very great. And I can't believe he didn't take it down when he had it up against the cage as well. So, firm no from Snags. I love the sport as it is. I love it as in divisions. The only reason I'd be open to seeing, I guess, some open weight stuff if it was two champions going at each other for a special attraction event. But, yes, that's it from Sugar Snags, boys.
I think open weight has its place. I think this is obviously a ridiculous extreme example, but those kind of freak show fights are always going to draw a crowd. I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but Fight Circus 2 took place on November 21st, and it had such fights as 3 average people against a massive heavyweight pro boxer, leg kicks only, spinning strikes only, 2 lightweight professionals against a large heavyweight average Joe, a bantamweight Muay Thai fighter versus a heavyweight kickboxer. Just a bunch of really, really weird cross-promotion fights. It was an absolute freak show, and it was actually fantastically entertaining.
I love the freak shows, you creep.
Yeah, it was. A 240-kilogram man fighting a 63-kilogram woman. I don't know if that's necessarily something that needs to take place on the regular.
We've nearly seen that in front of Colonial. I think the guy got the win on that one, though.
Yeah, we did see that out from the Colonial.
It was pretty split on the listeners. So 42% said yes and 58% said no. So there is an interest for at least open weight bouts, maybe not 240 kilos versus 63. Boys, special version of Hot Take today. We have our listeners' question.
Love your work, boys. Keep it up. This is Brad here, and I wanted to ask you about Figueiredo, and I want to know what you think is going to happen with him. Will he defend the 125 title? Is there any chance Henry Cejudo comes back and fights him, or does he have to go up a weight class, win the 135 title to lure Henry Cejudo in then? How do you see it happening? And if it does occur, what are the keys to victory for each of them, and who do you guys think gets the dub? Cheers, boys.
Snags' head has exploded at the range of questions that's just come at him. I don't know if my 4-stripe white belt can elude me to answer it, but I'll try my best. Do I think he would be able to tempt Cejudo back at flyweight? No. If he went up a division, I definitely think that could be considered if he was a double champ for Cejudo to come back and have that fight, a bit of a super fight. Wouldn't be a bad one to watch. But I think in terms of who gets it done, I think Cejudo would still reign supreme, the king of the cringe. From my backing, would get the W and get the belts back and then retire immediately and go back to his illustrious career of whatever he's doing now.
I do. Yeah, I think it probably depends on when the fight takes place. Give it another year. Give it another 2 years. We're running on 18, 24 months of Henry Cejudo sitting on the sideline. I think that would be very, very interesting, especially if Figueiredo does stay as active as he has been. We know Figueiredo's scrambles are no joke. We know that his power is no joke. If Mighty Mouse can TKO Henry Cejudo, maybe Figueiredo can do it as well. And speaking of Mighty Mouse, I reckon that is the fight that I would prefer to see. I would love to see a Mighty Mouse versus Figueiredo fight at flyweight. I think Henry Cejudo's flyweight days are well and truly done. I do think we do see him back in the UFC octagon, and I do think that Figueiredo is probably the guy who can tempt him back, but it'd be at bantamweight for sure.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be hard for Cejudo now with that wrestling body that he has.
Yeah.
I think you can only go back to flyweight so many times.
Yeah.
And it's going to get harder and harder. We had the fight dietitian on the podcast quite a while ago now, and he talked about Henry Cejudo and how hard it must be for his cut. When you get to that point where you have to do repeat flyweight cuts, he would get into a point where he would be nailing it. And then after that, once he has to change divisions, it's always going to be hard to drop back down. Not just Cejudo, but probably any fighter for that matter. And look, if he does come back in a perfect world, everything lines up, I think you'd want to wait for them to be a crowd. I think that would be a really hyped up event, a real headline event. One of the big things Cejudo left the game for was, one, he felt like he'd accomplished everything, but two, he probably felt like he was worth a little bit more than what he was getting. And the only way to get that in UFC at the moment is to pull a crowd and to pull pay-per-view numbers. Yes, the pay-per-view numbers are probably there for big fights at the moment, but the crowd's not there, and that gate is super important as well for a card. So for me, I would love to see it. And currently at flyweight, if Cejudo dropped to flyweight now, I think Figueiredo would beat him if it's his current form.
I was just going to say, speaking on Henry Cejudo and retiring, he retired after his Dominic Cruz fight. And by Monday morning, he was removed from the pound-for-pound list. His title had been stripped and everything like that. Do we want to talk about maybe the level of disrespect that Henry Cejudo faced compared to, say, a Khabib, where he's still got the title. The title hasn't been vacated, despite his repeated, consistent declarations that he's never coming back. Henry Cejudo was talking about possibly maybe one day coming back in the post-fight press conference, and that didn't stop his title being stripped off him. And then Nurmagomedov's out there saying, like a month and a half later, saying he has no plans to ever come back. He's just bought a MMA promotion in Russia to raise the next level of MMA fighters in that region. But he's still got his title. He's still got his pound-for-pound rating. And obviously Dana White is desperate to get him back in.
Yeah, boys, that was Hot Take. It was good. We might go into a results update. Now, coming down to the business end of the podcast for the year, we're just about ready to crown our champion. Let's run through some results from the last card that we did tips on, which was UFC 255 Statman.
Perfect. So in the light heavyweight division, we had Paul Craig defeated Shogun Hua by TKO in the second round. Caitlin Chukagian defeated Cynthia Calvillo by decision. Tim Means defeated Mike Perry by decision. Valentina Shevchenko defended her flyweight championship by defeating Jennifer Maia by decision. And Davison Figueiredo defended his flyweight title by defeating Alex Perez by submission guillotine choke in the very first round.
So it's still tied up the top, but we'll start from the bottom, unfortunately. Snags.
Boys, how are we?
Good, mate. Good.
Looking to see if any of the boys would like to trade any first round picks for anything, considering my season is over.
So Snags got 2 on the night for that card. So he's
That's
on
pretty good,
61. It's not bad for Snags. He's usually 0. Well, the last 2 cards he had 2 donuts.
Do you guys want to go back to hot take and ask about the disrespect of Cejudo or the disrespect of Snags right
No,
now?
mate, I was saying you're doing a good job. Keep it up.
Yeah, you're improving.
Next time I see you, Statman, let a G, mate. Let a G.
Gee.
Go Plata.
Yeah.
So I finished with 3 for UFC 255 and 71. So there's now a 10-point gap between third and fourth. So I'm pretty confident I've secured that third spot. And Statman and Stoney 1 apart. So Statman got 4 on the night and also Stoney got 4 for UFC 255, which makes Stoney still our leader. And he has no right of reply because he is not here today. Statman, what would he say if he was on the podcast today?
I think first and foremost, he'd probably thank me for like bringing out the best in him. The challenge, like me nipping at his heels, just keeps him like on his toes, making sure that he's working his way to be the best he is. I think there's a little bit of fear, the fear of me overtaking him, which drives him to such great success. He knows obviously that I'm trending in an upward fashion, that I'm probably going to overtake him in the next couple of events. So he'd probably use this opportunity as like one of the last podcasts of the year to like thank the crowd for continually supporting him, thank the audience for listening into his breaking news, and then obviously just to kind of pass the baton over to me and thank me for just being a worthy challenger and the rightful runner back champion.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what
That's
he'd say.
how he would go. Yeah.
I zoned out very early in that piece then. All I remember is last time you were in the lead, you panicking and just giving up the lead very quickly.
Yeah, you had it for 1 week, Statman.
One event. Broke the streak though, didn't I?
Nice. Well, we might jump into some predictions.
Perfect. So actually before we get in, we're actually picking 6 fights. We're picking the main card for UFC 256. But before that, there is a UFC on ESPN, UFC Vegas 16. And hot off the press, there's actually been some COVID-related shuffling to the main event. The main event now is a middleweight fight between Jack Hermansson and Marvin Vettori. Given that this is a late replacement fight due to COVID, I thought it'd be interesting. Both of these fighters have been significantly disadvantaged by COVID this year. This is actually Marvin's 6th fight scheduled for 2020 and Jack's 5th fight scheduled for 2020. Both fighters have only successfully managed to have 1 fight this year. If that does not tell you just how messed up this year has been. Obviously, Stoney would normally go first. Did you want to chuck his picks out now, DL, or did you want me to go first?
I reckon we might. Yeah, let's keep the order right. So he has gone. So he's gone Hermansson to win by sub in the 3rd round.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I've actually gone Jack Hermansson by sub in round 2.
Different.
I kind of slept on Jack Hermansson. His 1 win this year was a very quick submission, a very, very slick submission over Kelvin Gastelum, who I rate quite highly in the middleweight division. He got TKO'd before that by Jared Cannonier, but before that, he had a solid decision victory over Jacare Souza. So I think, obviously, Marvin Vettori is an up-and-coming. He's got a lot of submission skills as well, but I do think that Jack Hermansson brings an aggressiveness and a gameness to his fights. I was actually banking on Stoney taking Vettori. I thought that Stoney's maybe not dislike, but less adulation for Israel Adesanya might have taken him to go Marvin Vettori, who had a very competitive fight against Israel Adesanya. But alas, Jack Manson, so I've just got to hope that the sub comes in round 2 rather than round 3.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I'm going to take Vettori. So Vittori's opened up as favourite too. It's a $1.70 favourite. I think it's Vittori's first 5-round fight of his career too. He wouldn't have been in a headline fighting before, would he? No. And there was he's on a 3-fight win streak. So this would be, this would be massive for his career actually, now I think about it. Main event, can take out Hamasin. What do I like for it? I like these 1 week notice fights.
Yeah.
I think that might upset him. So Vettori round 2 TKO. How's that, Snags?
Look out. I was going to tip firmly against DL for every single thing this week, but then I figured out I could only get 9 points if he got 0, so it doesn't even count. It doesn't even matter. Is this our last show?
Second last one for the year.
Oh, so I could.
Second last show.
Well, on that tip, not going who I was originally going then. Massive for Snags. I'm going to go I'm going to go decision.
Nice.
Okay, and the ploy here for Snags is if I get everyone right that DL gets wrong and get the bonus point, I'll be within 1 point of not coming last, leading into the last one. Strategic play from Snags from now on.
Or you could be 19 down.
Yep, I could also be 19 down.
The DL's got to go 0 from 6 on this card, and you've got to go 6 from 6 and get the 3 bonus points.
Yep,
That's
I didn't think of the down factor on that one, DL, unfortunately.
I like your positiveness. That's why we like you. Should we move into UFC 256, that man?
Yeah, mate. I'm thrown by that logic. But let's. I think it's stunning. I think it's.
I just
fantastic.
love that he never thought of the downside of it. He was always about the positives.
It's all about positives.
I
You've
love
been
that.
a Snags fan. He doesn't really think about the downside.
No,
No
he
negativity.
doesn't.
Let's go it. So heading into UFC 256, we start in the lightweight division with Renato Moicano versus Rafael Fiziev. Only one of Moicano's first 14 fights ended in the first round. 3 of his next 4 then ended before the first bell sounded, with the last 2 taking place in under a minute each. Now, he was on the receiving end of a sub-minute knockout, and he also managed to score a sub-minute knockout as well. So he seems to have significantly increased his pace in recent years.
The Stoney is taking Moicano.
Okay, interesting. I've gone Rafael Fiziev. I actually believe it's Rafael Fiziev. And my reason is I think the guys are evenly matched in this fight, but Moicano tested positive for COVID 2 days ago, and the fight's been moved a fortnight back to allow him to recover. He may be one of those people who display no symptoms or anything like that, but the long-term health effect, especially in MMA fighters where cardio is a significant thing, I don't see overcoming a respiratory illness, cutting weight, and then engaging in a fight against someone as talented as Rafael Fiziev. I don't see that necessarily playing in his favor. Rafael Fiziev, I mentioned it before we jumped on, he has a habit of Matrix-style neo-dodging kicks, and I love watching this guy compete. And I do think that he takes it to Renato Moicano in this one.
Do we have a stat for people coming off a positive COVID test?
There's not many that have returned. I actually, for the stat about Hermanson and Vettori, because their main event had been shuffled around, I actually tried to grab a list of all the fighters and trainers who had tested positive, and there is actually a fair few who have since gone on to fight, but I didn't grab that stat, but I might have a look into it and start digging through.
It'd be interesting.
We've got one of the fights upcoming on this main card is a fighter who tested positive earlier in the year as well. Jacare Souza. That's another fight.
I might take for Z on that breakdown of your stat, man, because what I actually originally thought I was going to take Moicano, because he's a super efficient fighter on the ground.
He is.
They both really, really, really love their hands, though. So, I'm going to take Fiziev. Like, I watched that 58-second KO. That was huge. So maybe you might see something similar. If he's a little bit weak and not coming in as strong as he would, he might be a little bit lax in round 1. He might catch him. So
he's only lost to guns, Moicano. He's only lost, I think it's Ortega, Korean Zombie and Jose Aldo. That's a pretty nice record, but I just think, you just have to wonder how he's going to pull up.
Yeah, it's hard. Look at Garbrandt.
Yeah, mate.
He's struggling to recover from COVID.
Struggling.
So, yeah, I'm going to take Fazees.
Right, well, I'm struggling to stick with my projected game plan here, so I think I'm going to waver.
On fight 2.
Yep, and I'm going to pick Meccano because I'm not wavering, boys. I'm taking DL down, baby.
Oh, good job.
Tricked us.
Mate, I think he's going to get the W. When you think about a good fight coming up, by the way, without Snags as tip, I think it'll be a doozy fight for us to watch. Hopefully some Matrix-style stuff, and the boys throw some hands, and Snags gets a W.
Perfect. Heading into the heavyweights, Junior Dos Santos versus Cyril Gane. Junior Dos Santos last fought 3 times in 1 year in 2010, going 3-0. With a loss to Gane, Dos Santos would be 0-3 in 2020. Obviously, time has not necessarily been too kind to Junior Dos Santos, but without saying too much more, I'll let DL run through Stoney's picks.
Okay, Stoney's pick for this one. He's got a little message about this one. It says, I can't not pick my boy JDS. Too much man love to go against the old fella. JDS to beat Gane.
This is actually very disheartening to hear because I'm also going JDS. I thought that this might be the fight that I could squeeze ahead. I did think that, especially looking at the odds for this one and looking at both of these fighters' current form, I did think that I'd be the lone holder going Junior Santos. I think Gane is like a gun fighter. I think that he's got a tremendous future in the heavyweight division. He's young for the division at 30, and he's 6-0 at the moment. I just think that a 6-0 fighter should not be going up against a former heavyweight champion with 30 professional fights. I was actually really, really pleased with how the UFC were treating Cyril Gane. Gane or Gane? I didn't listen to this one beforehand, by how they were treating his development. They were feeding him guys with complementary skills to him and guys who can get his ring time up. And then suddenly, due to a significant amount of fights falling through for Gane, suddenly he ends up with Junior Dos Santos. On the tail end of his career, yes, but still someone who has been in there against the best of the best in the heavyweight division. So for this one, I'm desperately hoping that Junior Dos Santos will be able to pull it out of his current 3-fight TKO skid and be able to show the world that he still has some fight left in him.
I think this is a quick one. I think Gane's going to get this done super quick. And then I've got some concerns for JDS moving forward. If this ends up in a first round knockout,
He has to retire.
Any knockout, if he gets done that quickly in any round, I've got concerns for JDS moving forward. And you've seen how brutal Dana's been lately about fighters going past their prime, but the UFC is still paying them to fight. So Gane for me.
Well, Snags is staying true to his word, boys, as he usually does. JDS for Snags. I'll be going unwittingly with Stoney this fortnight, which absolutely appalls me, to be honest. I feel disgusted in myself for it, but I also feel like my ploy in terms of scaling back some wins as I aim to take down DL, as I have done this week in fantasy football. So JDS for Snags.
Perfect. Heading into the middleweight division, we've got Kevin Holland versus Jacare Souza. Kevin Holland will become the 9th fighter to record 5 UFC fights in a calendar year, and with a win in this one will join Roger Huerta and Neil Magny for fighters who have recorded a perfect 5-0 year, the first time since 2014.
Stoney has gone. Should keep the message open so it actually doesn't disappear.
I thought you were just being suspenseful, man.
No.
Same. I was getting wild up over here.
No. Kevin Holland. There you go.
Cool. I've gone against it. I've gone Jacare Souza in this one. I think that Jacare still has some fight left in the tank. I think I see this one kind of similar to the Junior Dos Santos Cyril Gane fight. I do think that Kevin Holland is good. He might not actually have the same kind of ceiling that Cyril Gane has in their respective divisions. But I think Kevin Holland is a decently positioned prospect in the middleweight division. I think that Jacare Souza now is probably still a bit too much for him. He's not the same fighter that he was 2-3 years ago, but I do think that he probably has enough still left in the tank, enough wiles, enough submission skills to be able to keep Kevin Holland at bay. This is the man who took the light heavyweight champion to a split decision in their most recent fight, Jacare Souza. So I do think that Jacare Souza still has enough in the tank to get this one done.
I have got Kevin Holland without a doubt. This would take him to like his 5th victory in 2020, which would be crazy in this year. So he's on an absolute tear, so I think he'll get it done. What I really, really loved is him talking absolute trash to Izzy.
Yeah.
After that win was awesome. And Izzy's doing the whole crazy symbol on his head when he was going past. It was so good. I love the call out. I don't think Izzy was that fussed about him whatsoever, not even on his radar. But Kevin Holland, love what you're doing, mate. Let's get victory number 5.
Look, I'm firmly disappointed that you've gone Kevin Holland because that was actually my picks.
Oh, well, you're going to have to change your pick.
Thanks for stealing that one from me, but I'll stick to my plan. From a non-pick perspective, DL, I would say Kevin Holland's probably going to get done. But from an official pick from Snags, Jacare Souza, I'm going to go with the stat man just to continue on the ploy. But let's hope it pays off. If I'm down by 16 points, I will wrestle a bear.
Oh, cool.
Mate, you've made some crazy promises before, and every time you make a crazy promise, I swear it comes back to bite you on the ass. I swear, every time you make a ridiculous assertion like that, it ends up being that you lose that bet.
Yeah, well, that was an actual bet. No one agreed to it, so we'll just move on.
All right, fair enough.
We might jump into some breaking news.
Breaking news.
With Statman.
Thank you for that high production value edit of the Stoney interview. Yes, this is the stat man. Stoney obviously needed a little bit more time to research and eke out these picks tonight. So I've taken the mantle for the breaking news. I've actually got 2 pieces of hard-hitting breaking news. On the back of Anthony Smith's victory on the weekend, I was quite surprised. I tweeted out to the boys. It was actually his 7th straight headlining feature on the weekend, which is absolutely insane. The more surprising breaking news that I have is be prepared for him to go 8 straight. The promotion is eyeing a February return for Anthony Smith in a headlining spot against Australia's own Jimmy Crute. Boys,
Oh, dang.
do we have some thoughts on that one?
Yeah, my thoughts, Jimmy Crute's an absolute beast, and I love that.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith getting an 8th headlining fight.
It's insane.
Crazy.
I think my thoughts were mine and Deal's exact same reaction as you were telling the stat was basically identical. And then mate, Jimmy Crute is no small fish to fry. That boy is on an absolute tear. One of the podcast favourites too. And,
Absolutely.
Mate, I look forward to see him getting the main event slot. That's for sure.
Jimmy Crute, I believe, is like 24 years old, which is just mind-boggling to me, especially in a division which favours, like which does have a lot of the older statesmen in it. I remember John Jones coming in and clearing house when he was 23, and a lot of the guys he fought were in that mid-30 range and up. And that seems to be the case where Jimmy Crute now finds himself, is he is the young gun in the division. He is tearing his way through 12-1 in the division. Really, really excited. And honestly, like Anthony Smith did surprise me. He still had some gas in the tank on the weekend. But I think that fight plays nicely into Jimmy Crute's hands.
Let's jump into our main and co-main.
Perfect. Co-main event in our lightweight division. Tony Ferguson versus Charles Do Bronx Oliveira. With a finish in this fight, Charles Oliveira will join Anderson Silva for the most consecutive finishes in the UFC. He is sitting atop a ridiculous 7 straight finishes, and he holds the highest finish ratio in the UFC for all fighters with 10 plus fights, with a 94% finish rate. He is only 31 years old and has 26 UFC fights, and only 2 have made it to the judges' scorecard.
Stoney has gone Tony so he's gone Tony TKO round 3.
That is exactly my pick. Round 3 TKO. My theory going into this is I pretty consistently undersell Charles Oliveira. He always surprised me. I think back to early Charles Oliveira where he wilted under pressure. A lot of his fights had weird mental lapses and or like he'd drop from the first body shot in a fight, or he'd seemingly hurt his foot and then not be able to continue. Weird mental lapses that have been decidedly absent. So I made the point in this fight to overlook those 6-7-year-old transgressions and focus on Charles Oliveira as he is now, and perhaps Tony Ferguson where he is now. So the big question mark for me is Tony Ferguson. Is he past his prime, or was Justin Gaethje fight an anomaly? I'm leaning towards it was an anomaly. I don't think Ferguson has too many years or fights left in him, but I do think that he still retains the skill and the danger in this fight to be able to get it done. I see him piling on pressure, taking some good Muay Thai from Charles Oliveira, and before pouring on the pressure for a TKO in round 3.
Man, Tony loves putting himself in front of absolute weapons. Oliveira is no different. When I was planning for some content for next week, I came across an article on essentiallysport.com that just read the title of the article was The Time Has Come, and it was about Charles Oliveira. Both high-level black belt jiu-jitsu guys. I'd love to see this on the ground, but I doubt that's even going to happen. So I think the guys will fall in love with their fists and look to knock each other out. But I think it's going to go a little bit longer, but I still think it's Tony third round TKO. Question for the boys real quick. Do you think Ferguson would have got a little bit closer to Khabib than Gaethje did?
Oh, I don't know. Totally different. Oh,
yeah, it's two different fighters, eh?
I think Tony Ferguson's, despite a lot of the talk going into the Gaethje-Khabib fight being about Gaethje's scramble ability, I do think that Tony Ferguson's MMA scrambling ability might be above where Justin Gaethje's is. Yeah. And I think that a really, really high scramble game is really important when you come up against Khabib. I don't think that Ferguson would have necessarily been afraid of the takedown as well. I think he attacks much better off his back. And I do think that his cardio when wrestling and grappling is much stronger than Justin Gaethje. I think that Tony Ferguson probably would have presented a more versatile challenge to Khabib. I don't think the result would have ended up being any different. I think it might be a triangle situation where Justin Gaethje is clearly better than Tony Ferguson. Khabib is clearly better than Justin Gaethje. And not that Ferguson's better than Khabib, but Ferguson is probably a stronger challenge than Gaethje was for Khabib.
Yeah, it's situational.
Yeah. I was just going to say you had a better gas tank, but I'll leave it to stat man.
You got to get that detail.
Holy dooly.
Sorry, Snags. Your tip?
Whose tip? Mine. Oh, yeah, that's right. Look, obviously, wanted to go Tony Ferguson, but I'm not allowed to now, so I'm going to go Charles, my boy Charles. And I think he's going to get it done via... Oh, let's just stick to the theme, boys. I'm going to go third round TKO as well.
I don't think Charles Oliveira is a bad tip in this one. I don't think that it's like outside the realm of possibility that he catches Ferguson either at the Gaethje fight wore down Tony Ferguson's chin, or Charles Oliveira's submission game is next to none in the lightweight division. So I don't think you've got a bad pick there.
I appreciate your feedback and your support.
No worries.
If you don't think I had a bad pick, you should have wavered and gone him as well.
How about we move on to the flyweight title?
It's time!
That's right, boys and girls. Exactly one pay-per-view after the last time the flyweight title was defended, we have another flyweight championship bout between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. This fight will be the quickest turnaround for a champion in history. By far, the current title is held by both Ronda Rousey and Matt Hughes at 56 days between fights. This fight will take place 21 days after Figueiredo's previous defense. It also marks the quickest turnaround for a title challenger as well, the previous holder being Derek Lewis backing up in 28 days against Daniel Cormier. So a lot of the props are obviously going to Davison Figueiredo, but Brandon Moreno, equally impressive turnaround time to take on the dangerous champion.
Stoney has tipped for this one. Figueiredo, TKO round 2.
I'm sticking with my pick from the last fight that Davis and Figueiredo went. I'm going round 1 TKO in this fight. I don't think Davis and Figueiredo's style lends himself to long, drawn-out battles. Brandon Moreno, also incredibly game opponent. I feel bad picking a round 1 TKO. I was pretty confident with Figueiredo against Alex Perez, and I don't necessarily think that Brandon Moreno has no avenue to victory. I just think that Davis and Figueiredo is so legit in the flyweight division. My big concern in this one, we know that Figueiredo has had issues making weight in the past. He lost out on earning the championship for his first fight against Joseph Benavidez due to missing weight. And this is a 21-day turnaround, which is brutal, especially because Davis and Figueiredo is clearly a big flyweight. My big prediction for this fight is that it is a very, very difficult cut, which could see it come down in Brandon Moreno's favour a little bit more. But I am taking Davis and Figueiredo round 1 TKO. I think he gets it out there before the cardio issues become apparent.
I'm also going to do round 1 TKO. I think the man is super dialed in and he's ready to roll. I think the weight cut, I think he's probably learnt from the last one that he missed. Because I didn't hear it. Did he have much trouble in this last one?
He looked really good for Alex Perez. Yeah. He looked much more controlled on the scale, everything like that. It's more the turnaround that I'm a little concerned about.
Because he missed weight for the first Benavidez fight, yeah?
Yeah. And then he
made
made
the
weight
second,
nice
made it for the
the
next
second
one.
Benavidez fight.
Yeah.
And then clearly made weight for Perez. So I think with a full camp, I would put to rest my worries about Figueiredo. A 21-day turnaround though is insane.
Oh, he's going to look massive against Brandon.
He's going to be huge, man.
Brandon's a tiny flyweight.
Yeah, he might actually benefit from like the strawweight division coming in to
he looks small.
Male MMA.
Well, boys, that is not great for Snags. Like I'm picking a loser here.
19 down.
Strong.
19
So what I
down.
said at the start of the podcast is I'm going to pick Brendan Moreno, and I'm going to pick him via what I'm super confident in. Round 2. No, I'm not going to do that. Round 2 TKO. I'm going to do that. Fuck it. Who would have thought? So, boys, that's Snags Hot Tips. If you're listening along on the podcast this fortnight, please do not put a multi on for my tips, and wish myself the best of luck. This could be, by the way, the biggest comeback in MMA history if this comes to fruition, boys.
That would be absolutely incredible. It would be
Fruition or fruition, one of the two, as long as it comes to something.
Well, boys, that rounds out our predictions for UFC 256. We might move into a little Run It Back Punters Club. Boys, there was no Punters Club on the last episode to reflect on, but we did miss a podcast, so we do have the results from episode 36, which unfortunately we didn't win. The previous one we banked 130, so there's still 130 in the bank. That's all right.
What did we lose on the last one?
the
So
two
we had
NFL games at the end of it.
Yeah, episode 36, we had Seattle Seahawks, Crystal Palace, Minnesota Vikings, and Washington. And both Minnesota Vikings and Washington lost.
Oh, that was my pick.
That was your
And
pick.
mine.
That's all right.
Minnesota were like hot favourites for that too.
Yeah, I can't really remember. But anyway, this week's on the Punters Club. The boys had a pretty good weekend on the punt. We had a good small bat run.
Pretty good. Stop it. We were on absolute tear.
8 straight games.
8 straight.
We did break our rule because we're supposed to pull the cash out at game 7. We pushed on to game 8.
Did make me
Where's the
sweat a
feeling?
little bit. I was not holding super firm. I was sweating.
Yeah.
We had $1.22 favourite. We thought we'd hit game 7. We don't usually go that short,
No.
but we thought if we roll game 7, then we'll do a cheeky game 8 just to get that money rolling in.
Couldn't
Didn't
breathe.
game 8 go for five sets as well?
Yeah,
5 games. whatever they call it.
game. I can't think they both went 5 sets. Yeah,
It's fucking
a small
awful.
bat.
It was awful.
I have, honestly, we haven't had a small bat run in a while.
Yeah, it was.
And my heart rate hasn't peaked that much at looking at numbers go up on a screen for quite some time.
I felt physically ill with Game 7 going down the wire, and then all the boys in the chat were like, want to do another game? I was like, are you kidding me?
We were on it absolutely. We were just dialed in, weren't we?
Yeah.
Boys? The fund managers were dialed in
Yeah, we good.
to the T.
We good.
And we just couldn't be better. I reckon we could have gone 10.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Definitely don't think we could have.
I'm glad we didn't. I reckon we could have.
All right, this week, I might kick it off. So this week's $10 investor is the Statman. Statman, come on down.
I can definitely do this.
Leg 1. Statman, do you have an app or something up to run
I do.
us
Yeah,
through
I'm ready to go, man.
All right, perfect. So leg 1, I'm actually going to take an international 2020 match. I've really liked Australia's form in the 50 over matches so far. India has not been
Nah, it's been terrible.
great with the ball, but they've been pretty good with the bat, I suppose. They've given them a chase, but Australia is in form. So I might take Australia at $1.75. That match is on Friday. So it'll
Beautiful.
be a day after the podcast drops. Thank you.
Do you have Stoney's bet?
Stoney, I do. Stoney has gone for Old Faithful. So he's taken Crystal Palace. But
So he's going to get the Dolphins.
no. Oh, yeah. He either does the Dolphins or Crystal Palace. But he's taking Crystal Palace for the draw. And they are.
look out.
Yeah. So they're playing. Let me just see. Crystal playing West Brom.
Yeah, I can see that. $3.20 for the draw.
That is it. West Brom and Crystal Palace to draw. $3.20. Lock it in.
Perfect.
Statman.
I've actually followed your lead there, DL. I've gone
Nice.
the 2020 as well, but I've gone local. I've gone national 2020. I've gone the Sydney Sixers over the Hobart Hurricanes at
Get on that big bash.
$1.67.
Nice. Little big
It's
bash.
a local one start.
What's that, sorry?
What do you mean?
Is it started already?
That one is on next Thursday, I believe. So I think they
Yeah, but is that
begin
like
next
the
week.
season opener? Oh, next week.
Yeah,
first
they
week.
start next week.
Nice. Well, boys, Snags is going to the world of American football, but we're going to go to the world of college football. I didn't see much value in the NFL market. I was a bit nervous going in there, so I'm actually going to go one that's tight to the line, boys. I'm going to go Nebraska to beat Purdue. Sorry, I always say it wrong. Purdue. So Nebraska's paying $1.93. Purdue's paying $1.83. So we're going the small outsider, but I think Nebraska's going to get it done.
Perfect, boys. So that $10 bet on there, it comes to $18.04, but I can actually power play that to $20.60.
Let's go.
So we're looking at a $206 return.
Let's
I will lock that in now, so we are locked in for those odds there.
Have we got any rules around like what we're going to do once we're up to like 10 grand?
Bet it all on Ukrainian table tennis.
Yeah. Just have a small bet run.
Imagine that. No, we got capped at like a grand bet last week, didn't we?
1,500.
I think the cap was our winnings at 1,500.
Yeah.
per
Oh,
bet.
was it?
Yeah. We ended up total winnings. It was $1,700. So
Yeah.
not too bad.
20, not too bad for $20 in.
Not too bad. Anyway, boys, that rounds out our podcast and wraps up episode 38. If you like what we're doing, hit us up on all our socials. Please like, share, comment, or subscribe to the podcast, also on YouTube and all podcast platforms. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can jump onto one of our supporter tees. You can follow the link in our bio. These not only make you look slick, they'll continue to help us grow the podcast and deliver you even better content. That is us for episode 38, boys. I'm producer DL.
I am a New Zealand bestseller, Sugar Snags.
And I'm the stat man.
And we'll run
I'm
it.
Stoney.
And we'll run it back with you all on the next Run It Back podcast.
Thanks, boys.
That is honestly picture perfect, Stoney. I thought he was right here.
I don't think his voice is that high,
He's
is
on
it?
and out, gents. Mimi Mansion.
It's crazy. Doing nothing.
Got me laughing, man.
Bye.